Your 8-minute question and answer period will now begin. How do you measure the long-term impact of your projects on your beneficiaries?
So for the Reworks project, our impact is on the textile industry and the environment. So we're reducing the greenhouse gas emissions as well as wastewater in the manufacturing process of textiles. So we're going to measure that based on how much clothes or textiles that we take in for recycling and the amount of wastewater that we conserve from avoiding that manufacturing process and performing that recycling.
How did you manage to meet and plan for your projects as a team despite COVID-19 restrictions?
For the Reworks project, COVID-19 has impacted us greatly because we weren't able to have our in-person meetings that we usually do, or have our brainstorming sessions, and we also weren't able to go into the labs to work on our prototype. But instead, we use that time, that extra time we have at home, to work more on our process and develop our product further. So during COVID, we hired an undergraduate as well as graduate team of students that comprised of people with different backgrounds, and we were able to consult with multiple professionals to understand the recycling process and create a process that is eco-friendly and allows us to create 100% recycled textile, which is the goal of Reworks. So we tried to make the most of the time by making a social media presence via like Instagram and Facebook, as well as like host a bunch of events such as a mask drive for the iHuman Youth Society, which allowed us to bring more traction into our brand.
What didn't go well this year and what did you learn from it?
So looking at things that might not have gone well this year, I think the main thing was we weren't able to get our prototypes ready to go, which was our main goal for the 2020 to 2021 year due to the lack of lab space. However, we are hoping that with restrictions becoming looser and with the vaccine introduction, we will be able to get into the lab and complete prototypes for our projects within the coming year.
Have you engaged any subject matter experts in the development of your projects?
So for Reworks, we engaged with some textile consultants as well as some professors at the U of A in the textile department. This allowed us to gain a further and extensive knowledge on the recycling process, on whether we were going to choose like a mechanical or chemical breakdown process. It allowed us to weigh the pros and cons for each of the processes and then find the best one for Reworks.
Yeah, and just going off of that, for all caps, we were actually the first place winners of the WCC, winning a cash prize of $10,000. So we are so fortunate to have those resources and those funds to really develop our research and design so that we go into the real world with the best prototype possible for our packaging.
Do you have plans to scale your project? Why and how?
So currently all of our projects are in the R&D phase, and we're continuing to look for new partnerships and stay engaged in the community. And then dependent on our project success, we will look towards a future exit strategy.
How are your projects funded?
So our projects are currently being funded through various grants, Enactus Canada, our accelerators, ASOB partnerships, and eHub.
Looking at the triple bottom line, people, planet, and prosperity, is there one of those where your team could have done better?
Sorry, Victoria, go ahead.
Well, being as Alberta is one of the biggest polluters in all of Canada, it's so important that we start within our very own community. All of our projects are aimed to reduce waste, reduce the amount of plastic in waters, and GHG emissions. So it's so crucial that we start in our own community and expand that way. And I'll hand it off to Arushi.
Yes, just to build off, definitely agree with what Victoria mentioned, and an area that we feel we could have done better in is prosperity. And we believe that we would be able to improve on that once our prototypes are ready to go and we're able to reach the community.
And additionally to that, for the Reworks project, we believe that the project really values the environment. So we believe that planet aspect that we're covering, but we feel we need to work more on the people. mostly in the textile industry. It's very important with the working conditions that a lot of garment workers in third world countries are experiencing. We want to kind of tackle that challenge as well with our project. So we want to reduce those garment workers that aren't receiving living wages, that aren't having good working conditions. They're in very poor working conditions. So we're trying to work on that social aspect as well, so we can grow our project even further.
If your team was given $25,000 right now, what would you do with it?
We would allocate the majority of the money towards the projects and R&D, and as building prototypes for all 3 projects is our main priority. So the majority of that money will go towards the 3 projects. And then any leftover money would also go towards the events that Enact COAB hosts to get our name out in the community, to build partnerships, and to innovate and to motivate students to come up with new ideas.
What are the areas of your projects that you see as most innovative and why?
So for Reworks, we feel that our process and our values are very innovative. A lot of companies have tried to perform this recycling textile process, but we feel our team is very like valuing of the environment, of sustainability, and we feel we're super passionate about the problem, that we feel that we can instill these values into the people that we work with, to the local businesses, to the corporations, so we can instill a trend that allows us to recycle products instead of constantly manufacturing like we are in the fast fashion industry right now. We believe we're passionate enough to inspire people. We've been on the radio, actually, on the Alberta 630 CHED. So we were able to discuss our project with Albertans and kind of inspire them to think more sustainably with our solution that we have.
And with Project Bio6, we are working with a very niche market to use the spent grain waste from breweries and create replace plastic plates. And there hasn't been too many startups or companies that focus on that. And we are very passionate and glad to work on this project ourselves.
And just quickly touching on all caps, through our research, we found that only 35% of cosmetic companies are striving to become zero waste. So we really, really want to make that impact with all caps in a completely zero waste product.
What accomplishments from the last year are you most proud of?
Sorry, Erica, go ahead.
With the impacts of COVID, we're really proud that we've been able to maintain a social media presence and engage our community. We've also hosted a mass drive this year, which we're really proud of. And as Victoria mentioned earlier, winning the WCC first prize.
Your time has now expired. Thank you, Enactus University of Alberta.